Carl here from Games, Brains and Head-Banging Life, gbhblofficial for short. Horror movie review time, and promising something far more creative than it inevitably can deliver. Mr. Crocket is a frustrating watch. Even with a solid story from director Brandon Espy and Carl Reed, and a strong villainous portrayal of the titular character by Elvis Nolasco. Playing Mr. Crocket, who we're introduced to as the host of Mr. Crocket's World, alongside his puppets Boogaloo, Blue and Squawky Bird. The show isn't on the air, but can be watched via a mysterious VHS. And that is what ends up in the hands of the youngster Major, played by Aidan Gavin, and his mother Summer, played by Jerrica Hinton. The boy is enamoured with the show, something Summer is glad to see, as both her and Major are struggling since the death of her husband and his father. In fact, it's that funeral that we actually open this movie on. But these struggles cause them to be in constant conflict, resulting in an argument where Summer says something she will regret, and regrets almost immediately, to Major, sending him to his room. This is when Mr. Crocket comes in, emerging from the TV and using his magic marker to take Major away, much to the shock of Summer. Not so much the viewer though, because it should be noted this film has given us two other instances of Mr. Crocket emerging from the TV before this big plot development. So it's not a big surprise. We've already seen him in some fairly significant scenes, not only showing off his sinister demeanour, but also how dangerous he can be, and how it seemingly only comes for kids who are unloved and or being abused. That would make him a hero, so to speak, except he is a demonic entity taken on the form of a children's entertainer who died many years before. A demonic entity that has its own sinister intentions for the children it is saving. Can Summer save Major and stop Mr. Crocket? It's all so familiar, isn't it? And for me, it was one of the biggest criticisms I had of the film, and I think it's one that many will have too. It's not just a lack of originality, it's the predictability of it, and how unimaginative the end experience ends up being. From the mysterious and sinister entity, to the familial drama and burgeoning conflict, to the separation and subsequent investigation into the entity, to the eventual face-off, obvious betrayal by a side character, and final big decision-making moment. We've seen it all before, and Mr. Crocket isn't offering anything special here, so it's not that forgivable. It does have a strong cast though, and some impressive practical effects. The former is dominated by Elvis Nolasco as Mr. Crocket, portraying a kindness that will be effective to most, but having these intense character switches that are startling. He's great, as is the dynamic between Jerrica Hinton's Summer and Aidan Gavin's Major. Both are believable as mother and son going through a hell of a lot. Whereas the latter, the practical effects, give us some really cool looking moments and, surprisingly, a lot of gore. This is the sort of film you don't expect to see a lot of gore in, but it does go for it. You'll be a bit surprised. These ultimately are positive aspects of the film, creating strong conflict feelings as there's nothing objectively bad about Mr. Crocket. I think it's just not as good as it could have been, and I think that's the overriding feeling. One of disappointment at the end. It's like, I wanted so much more from this. I really like this, and I like this portrayal, and I like this character and his acting, and I like the effects, but I don't like the story, and it kind of gets a bit boring, and I've seen it all before, and I knew it was going to end, and I'm just disappointed by it. I don't know, that's my feelings on Mr. Crocket. What do you reckon? You got any thoughts on it? You know what to do? Let me know in the comments. Thank you very much for watching. If you'd like to see more content like this, please consider hitting the subscribe button. It is gratefully appreciated. You can find us over at gbhbl.com, our full website, where reviews, news and so much more goes up daily. We're also on all social media platforms: Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Threads, at gbhbl. Just search for gbhbl and you will find us out there. We also have merchandise on sale. You can access the shop via the website.